If I can reach the stars, pull one down for you, shining on my heart, so you could see the truth. Then this love I have inside is everything it seems, but for now I find it's only in my dreams that I can change the world. I will be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good, baby, if I could change the world. If I could be king, even for a day, I'd take you as my queen. I'd have no other way, and our love would rule in this kingdom we have made. Till then I'd be a fool, wishing for the day that I can change the world. I would be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good, baby, if I could change the world. Baby, if I could change the world. I could change the world. I would be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good, baby, if I could change the world. Baby, if I could change the world. Baby, if I could change the world.
You can play the game and you can act out the part, though you know it wasn't written for you. But tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing a fool? But one thing can lead to another. It doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels nice, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Do as I say. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way you feel. Things are gonna be what you plan to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone. Once you tell somebody the way that you feel, you can feel it beginning to ease. I think it's true what they say about this squeaky wheel, always getting the grease. Better to shower the people you love with love. Yes, and show them the way that you feel. I know things are gonna be just fine if you only will. What I'd like to do to you, shower the people you love with love. Show them the way you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Yeah, shower. Show them the way that you feel. Whoa, yeah. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Shower the people you'll feel better right away. With love. Show take them much the way that you feel. Sell your pride. Shower the people you love with love. And I say, show them the way that you feel. They say you never shower like the people you love with love. They say the rain must fall that you feel. Just like a pouring rain. People you love with love. Make it rain. Show them the way that you feel. Make it rain. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Oh, yes, make it rain. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel.
Welcome to Asbury Memorial and to this celebration of the life of Sanford Jones. I think we all feel blessed to be here today, as I'm sure we all feel blessed to have known Sanford and to be touched by his life. This is going to be a very, very special celebration, one filled with words and memories and lots of music, as it should be. Other than the prelude and postlude, all of the music in the service is music that is in Sanford's operas. Even the hymns that will be played throughout the service as speakers come forward are hymns that Sanford selected for his opera On the Road to Freedom. I can't wait. It's going to be a great experience, one in which I know we'll feel Sanford's presence with us. There is no doubt about it. So you can feel that spirit, I want to make sure your cell phones are off and that you are not distracted. So please take a moment and double check your cell phones. Thank you. And now will you join me and bow with me in prayer. Loving and creative God, we thank you for Sanford Jones, for the gift of his life, for the treasure that he was, and for the treasure he continues to be in our memories and in your eternal heart. Even as we continue to grieve our loss, O God, we come today with thankful hearts. Give us the faith that Sanford so clearly had, the faith to see beyond touch and sight. And where vision fails, help us to trust your love, which never fails. Like Sanford, help us make the most of this opportunity we call life as we journey and work and play together. And as we look forward to our glad reunion with Sanford in eternity. Amen and amen.
Thank you so much for letting me be here to share my memories of my brother. I am Emmy Bronson. I was a Jones, and now I'm a Bronson. Having Sanford for a brother was quite an experience because he was 8 years older than I, and it was just the two of us. And he was excelling as a fine young man when he was very young. So he was a hard act to follow. In fact, he was an impossible act to follow, and I never was able to do it well. I have to say one thing, that in all the years we've shared in our lives, he never said an unkind thing to me. And since he babysat me, and he would squirt me with a hose in the yard in the summertime and pull me on the sleigh in the wintertime, that was pretty amazing. He had such patience. And one year, when I was about 12, he took me to New York for the day. We were in Princeton visiting, and we went in on the bus, and it was the most wonderful day because I was just a girl from a small town, and this was very special. It was just the two of us, and he took me to Coney Island, and he took me to see My Fair Lady, and he introduced a life to me in places that I never dreamed of. And my feet were hurting badly, so we went into a little shoe store, and he bought me these wonderful green suede little slippers that had funny little heels, and bought them for me. My mother would never have done that, but he did, and I wore them for so many years till they just fell apart. When he would go on a trip somewhere, even as he was older, he always sent me a postcard. So he always included me in his life, no matter what year it was or where we were going. But now Sanford was a mentor to me. He helped me in my art world, in pursuit of that, and we shared art because he was the pianist and I was the painter. And I remember one special day, I think Judy was out of town, it was in Charleston, and I was upstairs painting on a new painting, and Sanford was downstairs composing a new piece on the piano. And we would stop occasionally and get together and look. He would look at my work, and we'd talk about the music and have a cup of coffee. And it was just the most precious memory to me to share our loves like that and understand each other. He also helped me in many ways during my life. When things were rough, when they were really bad, he was always there. He wasn't one of those people that said, if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. He was always there before that was ever an issue. He came forward and said, what's the plan? How can we work this out? And so that was a pretty incredible thing. But he also was a mentor in teaching me about life, and it was just the most amazing thing to live with him through all the years. And I think my greatest grief is that we don't have the ability to share memories together like we used to about growing up and our parents and home. And one of the things he always said to me was when I was whining, he'd say, oh, don't sweat the small stuff. And I bet you all have heard him say that too. But he also told me something else that I've tried to remember, and that is always look at your experiences that were failures or mistakes or brought about pain and suffering in your life and learn from it. But if you don't, you're going to repeat them again. And so I've tried to remember that. And I've had my days of being so mournful and grieving, and my daughter called me from Washington and tried to cheer me, and she did. She said, Mom, she said, Sanford's rehearsing in heaven with the Angels Chorus, and he's playing the piano for Jesus. So I'm feeling good.
Good afternoon. I'm Kay Jones Keenze, cousin of Emmy and Sanford. And even though we grew up together in the early years, I thought he was more of a friend to my older brother. And it wasn't until we were in high school together that we became good friends. He was 2 years older than I, so we weren't in the same class, but we had lots of fun together. Before his senior year, his family moved away, and he lived with my family so he could graduate from Radford High School. That was when I began to see and experience his generosity, his kindness, and his talents, and become very proud of being his cousin. In addition to being an excellent student, he accompanied the school chorus, he was good at track, and he was president of the school of the student body. He was also, of course, very active in his church. When high school classmates learned of his death, many wrote to express their sorrow and to say what a star he was in school. One of the great joys of being with Sanford through the years was our gift of laughter. During the year he lived with us more than once, my parents asked us to leave the dining room table because their laughter was so annoying. After college, I moved to Washington, D.C., and Sanford and his family moved shortly after to Northern Virginia. Luckily, they had a party and invited me and my future husband, Marvin Keenze. We are truly grateful for the long friendship and their professional collaboration that followed. Sanford loved his parents, relatives, close friends, teachers with whom he would stay in touch long after school. He deeply loved his children and their mothers and his grandchildren and his adult friends. I know we have come here today with deep sadness. However, from now on, when I remember Sanford, I will think of him with joy and a song in my heart. Thank you.
I am Marvin Keenze from Philadelphia. I was a friend and a colleague of Sanford for 65 years. I joined the Jones family when I married his cousin, Kay. We shared living in Northern Virginia along with his sister, Emmy, and those were very important years for us all. We first met as students at the Westminster Choir College in Princeton. We had the same teachers, the same musical experiences. There was a large interest at that time in pedagogy and education. And from there, Sanford went on for his creative response to the Montessori tradition. Many of you know that his operas and his lectures and teaching and performances were a part of this educational tradition of Montessori. His contributions were generous, lasting, and meant a lot to me and to you. In college, we began our piano study, and we worked for 2 piano repertoire, piano duet, solo repertoire, and that continued until this year. We often performed here in this sanctuary in Savannah, and thanks to the help of Judy, we had a wonderful time. And also we did concerts on Hilton Head Island for the Gullah community. And I really want to express my gratitude to Carrie and Butch Hirsch for their contributions to planning those really wonderful times on Hilton Head. I have a memory, I'll just share a quick humorous memory, but when we played 2 piano parts, you look across and you see the other person, and you nod when it's time to start, and you say when it's time to end. And I can remember in rehearsals, Sanford saying, Marvin, too loud, too soft. And I appreciated that very much. So this area where we are, where many of you live, has become like another home with wonderful memories through the years. I could go on forever, but this memorial service of love and family and musical joy and friendship will do that. So I say, thank you, Sanford.
Hello, I'm Sanford's daughter, Carrie Hirsch, and I just wanted to share something before I share my thoughts about my father with you. My dear friend Louise Cohen, who is in attendance today, thank you, Louise, who is the founder and director of the Gullah Museum of Hilton Head Island. She shared this with me, and I wanted to share it with you today. She said, Reverend Charles Aiken was the pastor in our church when I was growing up. I could remember him every Sunday. He would end with this saying, if everybody in my church was just like me, what kind of church would my church be? She said, I think about your dad, and that makes me think, if everybody was like him, this would be a wonderful world. There are people who, she said, there are people who show so much love and kindness that I want to be in their company. They have a heart. I remember Mama used to say, some people have hearts and some people have gizzards. She said, your dad was a good-hearted person, but what a wonderful life. Even though we're never ready to lose people, then you look back at the beautiful memories, the concerts he played, what a beautiful legacy to leave behind. So, thank you, Louise. I have anxiously dreaded the day my father would pass away and how that would impact me, my family, and his diverse circle of friends. His loving wife, Judy, my stepmom and my mom, I don't call her my stepmom, she's my mom, Judy, and their blended family of 7 adult children and their spouses, 17 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren, loved him dearly. One thing I will tell you is that our family has seen such an outpouring of love. He impacted so many people in so many ways. He traveled in diverse professional and community circles, which brought him joy, and he also kept busy with various commitments from study groups at his church to grandchildren's graduation. He was game for anything, and I mean anything. He never said no to me with that, which is fine. And he never complained or judged anyone. He would meet somebody who was in need, and the next thing we knew, he had hired that person to mow his lawn or paint his house. And that is no joke. He loved playing classical music and raised funds for numerous nonprofits by sharing his talent with the world. I'd like to thank my dad for teaching me and my children that you must follow your dreams, make your mark on this world, and always think of others. And he said, if you do that, everything else will fall into place. So thank you, Dad, for the wonderful memories and life lessons. You never preached, you led by example.
Nice job. Good morning. I am Carrie's husband, and Sanford is my father-in-law, and I have been in this family for 30 years. And I would love to thank all of you for coming to this service and celebrating Sanford's celebration of life. I know we all loved him. I have worked with Sanford and Judy and my wife and Kay and all of the people, and Marvin and all of the people in the youth opera organization, and all the singers, the great singers that were here and musicians that were here. And I learned a lot about music from all of them, and I also recorded all of them. One of the very special events in my life that I have had was to record 6 concerts that Sanford did for me as a legacy from him. I kept asking him to do, that we had to do some kind of legacy for him. Unfortunately, as we recorded the 6th concert, he passed away 2 months later. And I still wanted him to do 1 or 2 more. But it was great watching him play. Even at the end, his playing was magnificent. I loved watching him play. I loved hearing him play. He will be missed, and his music will live on our hearts forever. I am sure that the angels in heaven will always give him a standing ovation when he sits down to play for them. Rest in peace, Sanford. I love you and miss you.
Hello, my name is Shannon Reilley, and this is John and Ryan Reilley, and Sanford Jones was our grandfather. And before we start, I just want to say I think we can all agree how lucky we were to grow up with our granddad in our lives and be able to receive his gift of music and share in that love of music with him, and definitely influenced all of us throughout our lives with our love of music. So thank you, Granddad, and we'd like to dedicate this song in his memory.
David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, and the minor fall, and the major lift, and the barefoot king composing hallelujah, hallelujah. A cold breath we sing is hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Thank you.
I'm Kevin Reilley. I'm Mary Reilley's husband. She's Sanford's youngest daughter. And I actually met Sanford first before I even met Mary at David and Jane's wedding in Chicago, and knew it was a special family from the moment I met Sanford. I want to thank my children for that beautiful piece. That your grandfather would be really, really proud of you. And I'm going to give my... I'm going to give my time to Mary. She's got a lot to say. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. My name is Mary Evelyn Reilley, and Sanford Jones was my father. I am the youngest of his 5 children from his first marriage to my mother, Martha Breeden. When Dad married Judy, their children grew to 7, including Judy's sons Michael and Stephen Austin. Today we gather to honor Sanford, son, cousin, brother, uncle, husband, friend, colleague, father, grandfather, great-grandfather. He made an indelible mark on the hearts of everyone here, and I thank you all for coming. In the words of Oprah Winfrey, there is a common denominator in the human experience that we all share. We all want to know what we do and what we say and who we are matters. Do I matter? My father lived a long and incredibly full life. Dad was born in 1938 and loved to reminisce about growing up in Radford, Virginia. It was a simpler time. Dad was showered with attention by his grandparents. He spent quality time with his sister Emmy and his family, and he felt truly loved. Dad was a history major, a lover of architecture and literature. He appreciated nature and music. He was a true Renaissance man. He surrounded himself with beauty and meaningful material possessions. He was an educated and informed man. His favorite authors ranged from Charles Darwin, Homer, and Aristotle to Maya Angelou and the Dalai Lama. In Dad's 80th birthday speech, he looked back at his life and thanked all the people who had helped him along the way, including his parents who fostered in him and his sister Emmy a love of using one's hands. His mother, Evelyn, was a dedicated pianist. His father, Edmund, was a talented craftsman. Dad was an accomplished concert pianist and composer, and his dear sister, Emmy, who is here with us today, is an incredibly gifted artist and painter. Dad went on to say, "I think we are all born good, and sometimes we lose our way." He believed that self-forgiveness was the key to looking forward in life and not backwards. He said, "If you're looking back with regret and sorrow, you can't see where you're going. Life is in the present and the future. It's not in the past." I want to emulate you, Dad, and thank those that have gone before me and made contributions to my life. And I start with you. Thank you for giving me life and for being the best dad a girl could ask for. Growing up, Dad taught us manners. Respect your elders, be still and quiet during a musical performance. Shake hands when you meet people, look them in the eye. He knew the value of a handwritten letter. On Saturdays, we were up early to help in the garden. We were expected to do chores. Dad passed on the value of using your hands, and believe me, we definitely used our hands to pull weeds, to wash dishes, to clean the baseboards. Not sure my dad ever heard of child labor laws. But it was all practical experience that lasts a lifetime. This all went with Dad's Montessori mindset of experiential learning. What's awe-inspiring is that nothing ever stopped my dad. He didn't let insecurities or doubt prevent him from fully participating in life. He was up for anything. It didn't matter if it was in his wheelhouse or not. He was also always up for a good snack too. A snack and a good cup of coffee or iced tea. Dad remembered to be childlike, and he knew the importance of what is called the beginner's mind, where one approaches the world without preconceptions so that one can see things in a new way with a fresh perspective. In the profound words of Zen master Shunryu Suzuki, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. Dad believed that every day there is something to learn. He woke up every morning and thought, how can I grow? How can I add value to this world? How can I enjoy this world? He had an attitude of openness to everything life offered, and I do believe that was part of his magic. Dad always said unsolicited advice is criticism. He was considerate of others. Dad lifted others up. He never put them down. No matter how much he knew about a topic, he was not arrogant or condescending. He was inclusive and connected through shared experiences and humor. If there was common ground to be found, he found it quickly, or at least tried. We hear the term growth mindset a lot these days. Well, my dad certainly believed in that, and he lived by that term every day. What my dad didn't believe in, however, was cake recipes. Instead, he preferred to make up his own. And often that cake ended up weighing about 20 pounds. My dad took his fair share of ribbing, and he weathered it well. He knew it was important not to take yourself too seriously. We teased him about his ice cream and popcorn addictions. Dad was not very materialistic, but certain things were very important to him, like mayonnaise and deviled eggs and capers. He had an intense passion for the spanakopita at Mate Latte down the street. Dad highly recommended getting out of your comfort zone. He excelled at many things, but he was humble. He often passed on his favorite books, knowing that knowledge is not to be hoarded, but shared. He created beauty, especially through gardening. He loved his children and their children, his friends, his church community, his sister Emmy. He loved his dog Bogey, but the real love of his life was his wife Judy. They were a dynamic duo and cultivated the art of loving one another. It truly is an art, and they had it down. They were patient and kind, and they laughed a lot. They prayed together, trusted and honored one another. They brought out the best in each other. They were a true team and brought their best game. One only needs to look at the themes of his operas to see how Dad embraced diversity. He sought to highlight our similarities, not our differences. He respected other cultures and honored their history. He gave us a window to far-off parts of the world. Dad loved languages and passed on his love of Latin to me. He was also my very first Latin teacher. He loved Greek mythology, which led him to create his operas Persephone and Rhodopis. So in service to my dad and in his spirit, I want to break down and describe a Greek word that I believe embodies how he lived his life. Eudaimonia. Eu meaning good and daimon meaning spirit. This word translates to fulfillment, spiritual success, or human flourishing. Ancient Greek philosophers wrote about this concept as they explored what we might describe today as the science of happiness. They believed the purpose of life was not to achieve happiness, but to achieve eudaimonia. The ultimate goal of philosophy was to fulfill our unique potential as human beings. Aristotle argued that you can achieve eudaimonia by working hard, cultivating your virtues, and excelling at whatever tasks come your way. Living in the right kind of place and balancing your activities with wisdom were essential. So the concept of eudaimonia regards well-being as a realization and fulfillment of one's potential, living one's best life. Perhaps this is one of the reasons so many people were drawn to my father. We like to see people living their best lives. Dad lived his best life, and we were all part of it. He shared himself with us, and we all benefited. He made us better people in the process. I believe he had achieved eudaimonia. I speak highly of my father, and for good reason, but he would not have wanted to be remembered as superior to others. He believed in the beauty of our common humanity. He did not judge. He knew it was not his place to judge. He also knew that judging others never really gets you anywhere good. While Dad loved being up on stage, he loved being the audience too. Dad always had a soft spot for Amal and the Night Visitors, a children's opera by Giancarlo Menotti. He loved the story, one of hope and compassion. We grew up watching it every year on TV, and we knew how much Dad loved it. When she was 8, my daughter Shannon played the role of Amal at the Chatham Playhouse up in New Jersey. When Dad heard she was to be playing the lead role, he flew up to see the show, even though he himself had a busy Christmas season scheduled as a performer. Shannon played the role beautifully, and the production was flawless. When it was over and the lights came up, my father broke into tears. He was so moved he couldn't even stand up. My husband Kevin and I sat with him as the theater cleared out, and we were moved at how moved he was. I think it was a combination of enjoying one of his favorite operas in such an intimate setting and seeing his granddaughter in the starring role, but he also shared with us that he had always hoped that he could produce that show at some point in his career. This was who he was. Despite having accomplished so much, my father still wanted to do more. He was always thinking of new endeavors to undertake. Dad, you lived a full life, and you were lucky enough to do what you loved. Your music brought people together, and you brought joy to so many. Through your intentions and actions, you made the world a better place, one day at a time. You set the bar so high, treat others with love and respect, reach out to strangers, smile more, and make people laugh. My father absolutely made his mark on this world. He had over 8 decades to do it. Dad, I honor you today and will honor you always. I love you so much, and I know that you knew that. I was lucky to have been loved by you and to be your daughter. I was always so proud to be your child. My father was many things: husband, composer, singer, and he will be remembered for all of those things and more. To me, he was above all just Daddy. I love you forever and ever. You were so good to me, and you will never be forgotten. You shared yourself so completely with others, and you gave it your all. Now it's time for you to rest. Rest in peace, Daddy, and know that you are so loved and that you mattered. Thank you.
yet to be spun out threads of the future, and the tapestry is yours to weave. Leave the door open for the seller of dreams to give you the fabric for a dream carpet for your soul. There's magic in dreaming that wakes us up to living, and a little bit of rain doesn't wash the dream away. For there's light at the end of every single tunnel. There's a rainbow at the end of every rainy day. First the rain, then the sun, then the rainbow. A little bit of rain, a little bit of magic. Harlequin, Harlequin, dreams for sale.
Good afternoon. My name is Charlie Jones. I'm Sanford's son, and this is my daughter, Cameron. She's here to catch me or read for me if I can't make it through this. And my sons, Parker and Spencer, are standing by with an AED and 911. I had to take off my mask because I need Face ID, and I hope this thing can see me. There I am. Okay. Real quick, because I actually was trying to make up time for you, Judy. We're there. I'm here for you. Butch reminded me of something that I really want to talk about, but I kind of have to now. I don't know if anybody picked up on it, but he talked about he loved watching my dad play. Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
So, but that's an interesting concept, to watch him play as opposed to listen to him play. And I grew up watching him from this little Marlin size under the piano, watching his wrists and his hands, and just watching him so happy. And, just taking care of us by bringing us into that world. He didn't shut the door and tell us he had to practice, He'd stop midstream and, check on me at his feet. So that was really neat. I think you're on. If you could do this. Yeah, that was cool. Oh, man.
You can do this, Dad. Okay.
It definitely will not recognize my face now, so. All right, you got this.
Okay. I'm blessed to be Sanford's son. He is blessed to have all of you and so many others that couldn't be here. I admire my father and his impact on all of you and the world. We have had our own paths, very different at times, maybe even competing, or maybe just distinct. I haven't forgotten that he showed me the way. He was my guide. We walked together even when he pursued his own adventures. I kept track of him even when I pushed him away. I respect him, I love him, and I really miss him. This weekend, Dad has invited me home. He's reminded me he loves me, If we want to talk to him, to enjoy his talents, or just observe his graceful nature, we just need to turn to each other. He's here in all of us. I listened to Judy yesterday and I heard Dad's voice. I talked with Michael yesterday and I felt Dad's love. I hugged Emmy today and I hugged her brother. I have another gig in 15, so I'll close there.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's David Jones. I'm Sanford's son, and this is my daughter, Savannah. I enjoyed listening to Mary, and I thought about her talking about eudaimonia. And you know how Dad loved, well, he was a student of Latin, and he had this love of etymology, which is the study of language, I guess. And I thought about this eudaimonia, how this is actually a term that has gone through evolution over time. And the next stage of eudaimonia was eudaimania, right? And then as it evolved, the ultimate expression, which is also one of Dad's nicknames, is Stan the Man. So anyway, last week I was reading some of the memories posted by the Association Montessori International members who had known my father, and they captured in words some of my dad's best qualities, and those are already being talked about a lot today. These are some of what they said. He inspired others to be confident and empowered, and they're often talking about children, children who are getting pushed out of their comfort zones or learning new things. He sparked joy in children. He was generous and gentle, a beautiful human being. He gave gifts of music and humanity. So without a doubt, my dad inspires me to be a more kind and gentle person and not to take myself too seriously. Love your family, don't judge them. Most of my adult life, I didn't feel that Dad and I had, a ton in common beyond some of our common history. But as I got older, I realized that, he really heavily impacted my character and who I became in many ways. Hard work, loving others, a sense of humor, a love of nature. As anyone who knows me will tell you, they're always ribbing me about my love of nature. And we both had setbacks, and we both worked to overcome those. After I left the nest and started to make my way in the world, I had a tendency to think back and wish that my parents had helped me navigate important or difficult decisions a little more. I didn't really find it helpful to hear, I have faith in you, you'll make the right choice, or follow your bliss. That was particularly unhelpful. Great words of encouragement, but not what I was looking for. And I talked to Dad about that some years ago. He told me about a conversation he had with his father, Edmund Jones, just before Edmund died. And my dad said, Daddy, I wish you'd given me more guidance. I needed help. And his dad responded, Sanny, I tried, but frankly, you were unteachable. And I don't doubt that many of you here today have heard that story, because, Dad liked to tell stories, and if it was a good one, he'd tell it over and over again, But honestly, when confronting problems, large and small, Dad stayed positive, and he It was resilient, and you know, he really treated others well. He had his own personal practices to help him stay positive and balanced in his life. And some of those practices came off as a little compulsive and annoying at times, especially when you're younger, you know. But they helped him get through, and that's, you know, kind of what you learn as you age, is that you do what you do to get through. That's all we can do is just try. But anyway, the power of laughter was one of those practices. For example, when someone was down, he might say, just remember, when one door closes, then often another door closes, and then maybe another. Yeah. So kids can be hard on their parents, and I was hard on Dad for some years, you know, holding his feet to the fire sometimes and wanting him to own up to mistakes. Ultimately, I realized that he did the best he could, and I was able to grow up enough to let things go. And so it's comforting to know that the world is indeed a better place for Dad having been here and with us. And it feels emptier now that he's gone. And it's a little corny, but I sort of felt this way after I heard the news. It's like one of those scenes from Star Wars movies when one of the Jedi Knights is killed, and there's a disturbance in the Force, and it's felt by all the other Jedis and across the galaxy. So anyway, thank you. And Savannah has a few words that she's sharing from my mother, Martha Braden.
Alrighty, so again, I'm Savannah. I'm one of, we call him Granddaddy, so I'm one of Granddaddy's grandkids, and these are some words from my grandma Martha that she wanted me to share with you all today. My marriage with Sanford gave us 5 children, 11 grands, 3 great-grands, and great joy. Sanford rescued lives, quite literally. Here are 3 examples. He saved his son Christopher Braden's life in deep water. He rescued our dog Elizabeth, who jumped onto the highway. He saved the lives of a young couple lost in the blizzard of 1966, on Christmas Eve in all caps. Their names were Joseph and Mary. Sanford's leadership skills stood out. A minister of music in churches, co-founder of Montessori schools, president of teachers' associations, masterful pianist. He was a gentle Southerner. People were easily drawn to him. A passionate personality. He was a baritone par excellence and duo pianist with me, concertizing in our 40s in Europe and North America. His published educational materials will continue to remain available from the catalog. We as a team brought back music to Montessori classrooms and training courses. We assisted in Francis Clark's summer workshops for piano teachers. In summary, with an extraordinary memory Sanford retained, developed, and used his every skill to the nth degree to help other people achieve prayerful peace, and excellence too, but not forgetting the overview within the globe, and on this special day, perhaps even within our starlit galaxy. God bless the potential of this wonderful gathering to heal our isolation from each other wherever it has occurred. Thank you, Sanford, for the love you gave us, for what you taught us, and for the good you brought us. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I have to share something that Judy and I spoke about this week, and that was when I initially met Sanford, I know that he thought that there definitely was life on another planet and I had come to visit. Because he was such a professional in such a beautiful way, with such kindness. And so it was about, I think Judy was about 25 years ago when I met him at Unity. And I think I was about 10 years old, and so there was music, and he was like, okay, Kim, I printed all this music, and here we go. And I was like, okay. And he didn't know that I didn't read music. I merely felt it and gave it away. And so I said, well, Sanford, that's beautiful, I thank you, but could we do this? Da-da-dum-bum-ba. And he said, okay, what key? I'd be like, the rhythm is ma-da-da-ba-ba-ba-da-da. And he'd be like, okay. Okay, let me get my pencil. Let me make some adjustments on the page. And he was so beautifully patient. He was so willing to go, to boldly go in a zone that was, a little different for him. And so then, 20 years ago, there was a competition that it was my third time competing in. I was not going to compete. And Sanford said, as Mary said, he said, the first time I didn't win, the door closed. The second time, the door closed again. And he just told me, keep trying. Well, that third year, I was not going to try until I was visiting someone. They gave me a dress. I was in Atlanta. I had just had dental surgery. I came back home and I said, Sanford, can you help me? I have to compete one more time. He went to Unity. We did a cassette tape of the performance requirements, submitted it. I competed that year and won. And I really, really, really thank Sanford so much for telling me, okay, the door closed again, but open it, keep going, keep going. And that is the way he was. That is just Sanford. And so today, as we are all here, raising a hallelujah for the gift of Sanford. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Ooh. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. There was a band of angels. They were coming after me, coming for to carry me home. You can put your hands up just like this. You know what? If you get there before I do, coming for to carry me home. I want you to tell all of my friends that I'm coming to, coming for to carry me home. Ooh, swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Ooh, swing low, sweet chariot,
coming for to carry me home. Hands in the air for the last one. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Coming for to carry me home. Coming for to carry me home.
Thank you. What do you do with a tear-soaked mask? Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Kim. Thank you all for being here. I'm Michael Austin. I'm Judy and Sanford's son. And there's a couple of Judy and Sanford's children that aren't here today. And Savannah mentioned one, Christopher Jones, and mentioned Martha. And we know that their love for Sanford is so immense, because how could it not be? And my brother Stephen Austin couldn't make it here today with 5 of Judy and Sanford's grandchildren and his wife Tara, but one of their children made it. Aaron is here, and then my lovely wife, Lori, and her mom, Betty, and our son, Mark, are here. I do have some words to share from Stephen. Stephen wrote, Sanford was a kind soul, filled with love and wisdom for his family and friends. Sanford's greatest gift was his love of music, which he and Judith shared with countless children all over the world. Throughout his life, Sanford always found ways to keep learning and share his knowledge with those around him. Sanford was a wonderful father to his 5 beautiful children and his stepchildren. He was an amazing partner to Judith for over 35 years. And I'm grateful for all the love and joy he shared with my family. The moments we all shared together will live on in our memories. I know you're looking down on this gathering amazed by the outpouring of love for you. Rest in peace. Again, my name is Michael Austin. I'm Sanford and Judy's son. Each day in my morning meditation, I ask God to show me the way of patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love. Sanford was the best example of those qualities I ever met. Sanford and I met for the first time in 1987. I had recently turned 21 and was walking across one of the ornate bridges in Central Park when this man walked up to me "Michael," he said, "I'm your dad." The quizzical look across my face prompted, "I'm Sanford, I'm married to your mother." He must have recognized me from photos he had seen. And I'd love to tell you that we continued walking in Central Park with my dog at the time, and that we spent the rest of the day getting to know each other. My response to him at that time was, "And?" "5 years later, Sanford welcomed me into his home. He demonstrated those qualities of patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love from the moment we met. He counseled me, he consoled me, he loved me, and he showed me kindness throughout our lives. Another 5 years later after that, he played organ at our wedding. I loved Sanford so much. I mostly loved him because of who he is, and that he gave my mother the husband, partner, and lover she was meant to have. We will all miss Sanford Jones.
Ah, to breathe at last. Hi there. My name is Kristen Jo Fried, and I am Sanford's favorite sister-in-law. I'm going to tell you about three expressions of love that I experienced knowing Sanford. His love of family and friends, love of laughter, and even better, laughing at himself. And as we all know, his passion for music. I met Sanford the end of August 1983. Judy and he were living in 155th Street and Riverside Drive in New York City. I was newly divorced, very newly, a week before, and drove to New York City in my half-paid blue Honda Civic with my 12-year-old son, Andres. All of our worldly possessions fit into that little car. Fortunately, I was a certified teacher, and Sanford gave me the gift of employment for 2.5 months until we moved to New Jersey. Watching Sanford's skills teaching those children with such ease and patience and kindness was an inspiration. His interaction with students, parents, and even the teachers was even more awe-inspiring. He thoroughly enjoyed working in his Montessori school, and he did it in joy. Now about the family. What a joy to get to know his children. They would come over to dinner on Wednesdays, I think it was. Sanford always included his stories and a game or two. He would get all to participate, asking questions like, "What are you grateful for today?" We would go around and give what we were grateful for. There was always laughter and sometimes even a tear or two. How heartwarming to be a part of an extended family, and Andres, a only child, loved it too. Now about laughing at himself. Sanford's favorite aunt, Helen, had given him her car. Sanford and I took the bus to Atlantic City to visit Helen and drove back in the big old white Oldsmobile. Sanford had had his father's big old white Buick, which was stolen off the street in New York City. Judy, again, forewarned him with his new old car, he needed to get a lock for the hood, a shield on the trunk, and a steering wheel lock to keep it secure. This time, within a week, Sanford double parked outside a deli to just run in and get a cup of coffee. To his dismay, he had lost car number 2. That night at dinner, I remember he told us of his tale and decided that owning a big old white auto was not a good idea. We all had a laugh, as we always did, and the humorous story Sanford always told, and often he told. His love of music and his talent were such a delight. I love the way musicians with their creative gifts seem to carry a song in their heart and mind, and we, as the listeners, absorb the vibration, and we become part of the music too. Sanford once told me if he were not a musician, he would be a dancer instead. He married my sister, a dancer. Boy, how they love to dance together. Meditating one morning about music last week, this was a quote called Music. I know in the 12 notes of each octave and varieties of rhythm offer me opportunities that all of human genius will never exhaust. Igor Stravinsky. I thank you, God, for all your messengers who love through the art of music. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Rest in peace, dear Sanford, and I'll see you sometime on the other side.
Welcome, dear friends from near and far. I am Athena, the goddess of wisdom from Sanford's opera, Persephone. I am here to welcome our dear brother Sanford to Mount Olympus today. With music he played and songs of his heart, he leaves this earth for a new life he must start. Before we send him on his way, let me tell you of Sanford's last earthly day. He arose from the bed to shower, shave, and dress, pulling up his compression stockings with great zeal and zest. Down the stairs he wanted to bound, however, on every other step, Sanford took a rest. He knew to breathe deep and continue with zest. Follow him now, not far behind, was his dear dog Bogey without a whine. The two of them, looking forward to a breakfast to start each day anew. Sanford loved his eggs, sausage, toast, and coffee too, sharing with Bogey a bite or two. Then at the piano, he practiced that day, for with his dear friend Rebecca, a concert was on its way. Then off to lunch to meet his men friends at Tubby's. You can see he loved food. Why not, you say? While on the drive to Tubby's, his 30-year-old Honda broke down. What to do, what to do. Stalled on Victory around the corner, guess who just happened to be passing by? His concert mate, Rebecca, spotted him standing in great dismay. She circled around, picked him up, and to Tubby's they flew. With Billy, Dave, Preston on the porch they did eat to keep Sanford warm and comfortable too. These men did an honorable feat with sweat on their brows and most likely their feet. Calling his wife Judy, "Honey, the Honda is on the blink. What should I do?" "Don't worry," she said, "I'll come and get you." "Well, we'll call AAA without delay." While driving to Tubby's, Judy thought on the way, "That Honda's gas gauge does not work, you see." So the car was filled with gas and the odometer set on 0. When 225 miles was reached, the tank was filled to the rim. He's forgotten to look at the odometer again. Picking Sanford up, off to Dixie Motor they went with a container of gas and the mechanic's help too. The gas tank was filled and the Honda started anew. Then Sanford and Judy treated themselves at Mate Factor with lattes, and Sanford ate his favorite food, spanakopita. Food, wonderful food. Sanford on the way, please pick up some fish. I'm going to Sam's to return a dish. Please only the fish, for tomorrow we're on our way to Nashville to enjoy a steeple race with son Michael and family. Judy could be quite a harpy too, always telling her poor husband just what to do. After they parted and errands were done, they met on their porch where Sanford had finished some gardening, of course. Judy said, "Honey, I brought you some lawn bags today," which were her last words to him that very last day. Off to his office and she to their pond to feed the fish and then take Bogey for his run. When Judy came home, the phone gave a ring. Answering it, their son Michael explained the details of their first flight since COVID-19 has given us such a fright. Running to Sanford's office to tell of the news, she found her dear husband at his desk, tilted sideways with left arm hanging down and his head down too. "Sanford, can I help you?" Lifting him up as best she could, his eyes were wide open and had turned turquoise blue. staring at her with open wonder. She pounded on his chest, then picked up the phone and called 911. The woman on the phone said, "Place him on the floor and start CPR while the ambulance comes to." Judy tried to lift Sanford, but could not do it. She's screaming and crying. She ran through their home, calling for their friend Betsy, who lives in their carriage house. "Come, Betsy, come, Betsy, I need you. It's Sanford. It's Sanford." Betsy jumped out of her shower, threw on some clothes, and on the run, they both tilted his chair to place Sanford on the floor. Pressing on his chest. Too late, too late. They gave their best. They gave their best. The ambulance came and the medics did their best too, and off to the hospital to try again and again. This battle for earthly life was over, dear friend. Now, daughter Carrie and her husband Butch came to the hospital too. The ministers Billy and Dale were there praying. The presence of God would endure. Now is Sanford's celebration of life while on earth. He liked to quote St. Francis of Assisi. When Francis was asked, "What would you do if you were told you had only one day to live?" Francis replied, "I'd keep hoeing my garden." And that is what Sanford did too. He lived his last day to the fullest with his dog, his piano, his friends, and his wife too. He lived a blessed life. Now with joy let us send Sanford onto this day of rebirth. Adieu, adieu, dear friend. I must join the gods on Mount Olympus now to welcome our new friend, Sanford, and show him life above the earth. His spirit lives on, it is true, through family, friends, and his music too. Adieu, adieu, from your friends on earth. Now enjoy your new home on Mount Olympus this day. Now enjoy your rebirth. Thank you.
rose untied their bonnets, the bobolinks begun. Then I said softly to myself, that must have been the sun. And how he set, I know not. There seemed a purple star, but little yellow boys and girls were climbing all the while. And when they reached the other side, the dominie in gray pulled gently up the evening bars and led the flock away.
My name is Reverend Dale Worley. I am the minister at Unity of Savannah, a center for spiritual awakening, where our beloved Reverend Judith Jones serves as a lay minister, a licensed Unity teacher, and a prayer chaplain. The reading I'm sharing with you today is adapted from the poem The Traveler by Reverend James Dillett Freeman, who is an internationally acclaimed author and Unity minister who is also known as Unity's Poet Laureate. The Traveler. Sanford Jones has put on invisibility. Dear Lord, I cannot see, but this I know. Although the road ascends and passes from my sight, that there will be no night. That you take Sanford gently by the hand and lead him on along the road of life that has no end, and he will find it is not death, but dawn. I do not doubt that you are there as you are here, and that you hold our Sanford dear. Our life did not begin with birth. It is not of this earth. And that we call death is no more than the opening and closing of a door. And in your house, how many rooms must be beyond this one where we rest momentarily? Dear Lord, I thank you for the faith that frees, the love that knows it cannot lose its own, the love that looking through the shadows sees, that you and Sanford and I are ever one.
Kim Pelote, Sanford wanted me to tell you that when you had us all waving our arms as you were singing, that was very Montessori-like. Mind, body, spirit. Before I make my remarks and offer a closing benediction, why don't we take this opportunity to give Sanford one last round of applause for all he's given us through his music, his wisdom, and love. I owe that guy a lot. I can't tell you how many times I had to call him at the last minute to help me with something, and I'm sure many of you did too. On a recent trip to New York City, my daughter Christy and I came up with a phrase that we thought should be our mantra, our goal for life. Bold but gentle. Bold but gentle. Sanford Jones was the epitome of being bold but gentle. It's ironic that Christy and I had this epiphany in New York because that was a special place for Sanford and me. He and I had a special kinship because of New York. Even though he and I didn't know each other at the time, Sanford and I both lived in Manhattan at the same time, back in the 80s. He and I both attended very prominent churches. I attended Marble Collegiate Church with the master storyteller Norman Vincent Peale, and Sanford attended Riverside Church with the great social justice leader William Sloane Coffin. Two great churches with two spiritual giants. But the best commonality Sanford and I had was that each of us met our future wives at those churches. And both women happened to be vivacious, beautiful blondes who could dance. Broadway babies. And because of this common experience, Sanford and I knew right away that both of us had very good taste. Sanford would sometimes remind me that we also had Princeton in common. I attended Princeton Seminary, and he, the great Westminster Choir College. And I was in New York and Princeton last weekend, and Sanford was very much on my mind and in my heart. I'm so thankful that, like Sherry and me, Sanford and Judy landed in Savannah. There have been many wow moments we heard about today. Rebecca picking Sanford up, Sanford having that incredible day where he got to experience gardening, his friends, music, Judy, good food. Just so many wow moments. And part of the wow moment is Sanford and Judy coming to Savannah. They have meant so much to me personally, so much to this church, and so much to our community. Sanford was kind enough to take interest in my entire family, all four of my children, my sister, my cousins, my relatives, and my mother, who cherished his genius and piano ability. She was always thrilled when she got to hear him play, and was even more thrilled when she got to sing as he played. And Sanford even took time to play for the Von Hester family when about 12 of us went on tour with a little performance at a nursing home here in Savannah. He was also a beautiful and powerful force at this church, not only with his musical talent, but with his leadership and wisdom, his quest for knowledge, his curious spirit, his calm presence. We saw this in action time and time again at our 10 o'clock hour studies on Sunday mornings and at the men's group on Thursday nights. He loved and cherished those two groups. In fact, he was at a lunch meeting about the Thursday men's group the day of his death. Sanford not only blessed one church, he and Judy blessed two churches at the same time, which is remarkable. We no longer live in a church culture. It's challenging to get people to be committed to a church, yet Sanford and Judy were committed to two. And we thank Unity for sharing Sanford and Judy with us. Sanford also blessed our community. Again, not only through music, not only through his Montessori expertise, but in many other ways. He supported reconciling ministries for the rights of LGBTQ people. He was a member of our green team and worked to take care of our environment. And the night before his death, he was at Lake Mayer at an event for Just Ministries. Justice Unites Savannah Together, JUST, which especially focuses on the issues of homelessness and poverty. Bold, but gentle. The last sermon I preached before Sanford's death, 2 days before he transitioned, was all about the importance of humility. A trait, it seems, we seldom see anymore. One that our world so badly needs. Thank you, Sanford, for teaching us about humility. We were in the presence of a musical Einstein who created operas for children, and a Montessori expert who trained in Italy and worked with Maria Montessori's son. But you would never know it. Although he knew so much, he was smart enough to know that he didn't know everything, that it's important to always be open to growth and learning, especially about the great creator, the great mystery of life. And so I leave you with these words from a hymn we like to sing a lot at this church, words I can hear Sanford saying to us, words from the master musician, the master gardener, the master educator. In the bulb there is a flower, in the seed an apple tree. In cocoons a hidden promise, butterflies will soon be free. In the cold and snow of winter there's a spring that waits to be unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see. There's a song in every silence, seeking word and melody. There's a dawn in every darkness, bringing hope to you and me. From the past will come the future. What it holds, a mystery, unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see. In our end is our beginning. In our time, infinity. In our doubt, there is believing. In our life, eternity. In our death, a resurrection. At the last, a victory. Unrevealed until its season. Something God alone can see. And now, will you stand for the benediction? And then please remain in place for one last piece of music that can be interpreted a couple of different ways. You may want to interpret it as Sanford reminding us that he is with us and praying for us until we meet again. You can also interpret it as us saying to Sanford, don't worry, we will continue what you have begun. So here's first the benediction, words by the philosopher Henry Emile. Life is short, and we don't have much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel the way with us. So be swift to love and make haste to be kind. Amen and amen. Sleep now, my village folk, till morning light is here. I shall your sentry be, and keep an open ear. Now my life is useful, now my life is new, spirit-filled and purposeful, I say with you. Good night, good night, good